Though not everyone is aware of it, Boston has a huge entrepreneurial and startup community and is essentially a hub of innovation. Greenhorn Connect, a website created in 2009, was founded by several young entrepreneurs to make this community easier to navigate through. I sat down with several of the faces behind Greenhorn Connect and others who have used the site before to gain a better understanding of the website made for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs.
The Greenhorn Connect is a website that's meant for our entrepreneurs and it's made by entrepreneurs to help them move their businesses forward and get them to whatever the next point is for them, whether it's getting funded, finding new team members, just going out and meeting people and like being part of the Boston startup community. We try to foster a sense of community in Boston through the website, and we push the culture out and all the information out through our Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn pages.
We were trying to figure out what was going on in the Boston ecosystem to get involved in it, and no one had really figured out how to find everything. And so, because it was a mess, we started building a wiki for ourselves, and it turned out other people were interested in the wiki, and so we decided there might be an opportunity to build something for the entire ecosystem to help them. And so that was the impetus for us to get started. What really started the exact launch date then was there was an event called the Mass TLC Unconference, and that's like where all the big names in Boston startups and like all the newcomers all get together for one conference. And basically they had a session called Turbocharging the Culture in Massachusetts, and that was led by Tim Rowe and Scott Kersner. Kersner writes for the Globe. Tim Rowe runs the Cambridge Innovation Center, and they wanted to talk to all these people to try to figure out what can we do to make the ecosystem stronger. And they talked about how there's so much going on in our ecosystem and no one was keeping track of it. And so they were like, we need a site to do that. And I raised my hand at the end and said, I'm working on that, we're going to do that. And they're, everyone's like, huh? Who's this quiet kid that was like sitting there the whole time?
Pretty much integrated Greenhorn into my everyday life, which is good. So I always look at the calendar myself, like after we pick the top events, like I decide usually like the day of, or like the week of, like what events I'm going to. And then from there I go and I talk to people and I meet new people to like bring into the startup community and like it's a good, so basically you have to go to these networking events to be part of the company in order to do well, so that because if we're fostering a community, you have to be part of the community that you're trying to foster. There's no other way to do it.
I've been plugged into Greenhorn for probably almost a year now. So since I moved to Boston and got involved in the scene, I've always used Greenhorn as a way to be in touch with things that are going on in the community. Bain Capital Ventures is also pretty heavily partnered with them, and we do a lot of events that they feature on their site, and we like to make sure that we cover a lot of the major things that they cover. But for me, it's all about being plugged in, having a one-stop source for event discovery, and having a curated list of what's going on and what things we should go to.
It's another aspect that I think is kind of interesting about Greenhorn is what they're doing around some of the job board stuff. I guess I'm a proponent, and I think they've done a good job of trying to make some of the listings for companies not just kind of a list of requirements of like job applicant must have X, Y, or Z, but a bit more about like, what's interesting about working at, this company? Like, why would you, is it the technology? Is it the people? Is it the benefits, the culture, kind of what, and I think that's something that a lot of people, I love to see, even if I'm not job hunting, just in terms of like trying to understand what the companies are like. And then I think it's a great resource for maybe young people trying to understand, just get a better glimpse of kind of like what would it be like to work at like one of these companies. Is it everybody kind of working 120 hours, or is it like, no, there's ping pong and there's free beer or whatever. So I guess that's been probably in kind of the order of stuff that I've tended to use kind of Greenhorn for over time.
I'm pretty happy with where we are right now. I feel like we're in a good place. The biggest challenge for us is always figuring out the monetization aspect. I think we're still working through that. But we're about to monetize the job board. It's been free for about 8 months now, and so we're going to move to a small paid model, and so we'll see how that goes. But it's really, I think at this point, a lot more iterating on what we already have out there. So we're going to be improving the job board in a number of ways, because I brought in another guy, Ian, who's our project manager on the job board, and he's out there doing customer development that I've never had time for, to really find out, is it working, is it not, because a good job board has to be helpful to both job seekers and companies, and right now we're onto something, but it's not quite there.